সবাইকে আন্তরিক শুভেচ্ছা প্রিয় শিক্ষার্থীবৃন্দ। আশা করি পরম করুণাময়ের দয়ায় তোমরা সবাই ভালো আছো। তোমরা জানো কোভিড-19 এর বিস্তার রোধে বিশ্বব্যাপী বিজ্ঞানীরা নিরলস পরিশ্রম করে যাচ্ছেন। বাংলাদেশও কিন্তু এই ক্ষেত্রে পিছিয়ে নেই। আমাদের দেশের বিভিন্ন সংস্থার বিজ্ঞানীরা গত আগস্ট পর্যন্ত কোভিড-19 এর 430টি জিনোম সিকোয়েন্স উন্মোচন করেছেন বা প্রকাশ করেছেন। কোনো কার্যকরী ঔষধ বা ভ্যাকসিন তৈরিতে এই জিন সিকোয়েন্স খুবই সহায়ক ভূমিকা পালন করে। তোমরা জানো জিন তত্ত্বের উদ্ভাবক বা জেনেটিক্সের উদ্ভাবক হিসেবে গ্রেগর জোহান ম্যান্ডেলের নাম, এবং এই জিন তত্ত্বের উপর ভিত্তি করেই চার্লস ডারউইন 1859 সালে তার বিখ্যাত বিবর্তনবাদ তত্ত্ব প্রকাশ করেন। এবং সমাজবিজ্ঞানের ক্ষেত্রে যদি বিবর্তনবাদের প্রয়োগের কথা আমরা বলি, তাহলে বিশিষ্ট নৃতত্ত্ববিদ মর্গান 1877 সালে সামাজিক বিবর্তনবাদ বা সোশ্যাল ডারউইনিজমের তত্ত্ব প্রকাশ করেন। রাষ্ট্রের উৎপত্তি নিয়ে অনেকগুলো তত্ত্বের মধ্যে ঐতিহাসিক মতবাদ বা বিবর্তনবাদকে অধিকাংশ রাষ্ট্রবিজ্ঞানী যুক্তিযুক্ত বলে মনে করেন। আমরা আমাদের আজকের আলোচনা ইংরেজি ভাষায় করব। এতে রাষ্ট্রবিজ্ঞানের পাশাপাশি তোমাদের কিছুটা হলেও ইংরেজি চর্চা হবে। আমার বিশ্বাস তোমরা যদি মনোযোগী হও, আন্তরিক হও, অবশ্যই উপকৃত হবে। So, welcome you all once again. You know, the origin of state didn't happen for a single cause. Most of the political scientists believe that it was the effect of many reasons, not a single reason or factor. Or in another word, it may be called a historical growth. Many factors contributed to this growth, and these may be kinship or blood relationship, natural resources, religion, force, economic activities, and finally political consciousness. Let us see what's the relationship of blood or kinship and how it contributed to the development of state. Definitely, kinship or blood relationship is a very much significant factor in the evolution of the state. Kinship is inevitable in every society to make bond between the people. The closest bond of kinship is the family, composed of father, mother, and children. And with the expansion of family arise new families, and by the multiplication of families of the same stock, tribes or clans are formed. And ultimately these tribes and clans play the most decisive role in the formation of society and state. The most recent researches into the primitive history of society point to the conclusion that the earliest tie which knitted or make bond between the people in the communities was consanguinity or kinship, a blood relationship. And very famous social scientist McIver also believed that kinship creates society, and society at length creates a state. And you know about the anthropologist Morgan uh, he also believes in this theory. Thus, it is quite clear that kinship plays a very important role, a very dominating role in the growth and development of state. Now, let's know another important factor, that is natural social instinct. You know, by nature, man is a social animal or social being, and all you know the famous comment or quotation by Aristotle, man is by nature a political animal, and he ho by nature, and not by mere accident, is without a state, is either above humanity or below it. So it is quite clear that man cannot live without a society. Man cannot do his or her everyday life without in a social institution. And naturally there is an instinct or tendency of politics, a political attitude, a political behavior inbuilt or installed in human nature, and from that people act or behave socially and politically. So social and political instinct is very much natural in human being, and from that their behavior and culture by turns or in course of time created some social and political institutions that ultimately contributed to the growth and development of state. Another very important factor, a very dominating factor in human life, in human society, in human history, is religion. You know, the primitive man was little aware about the forces and laws of nature. They recognized the great power or force of nature, and they started believing in the fact and the natural powers, and they started believing in the existence of some creators, some gods. These are the primitive beliefs of people, and thousands of years were needed to create that discipline and submission to authority, or to some superior authority, some spiritual authority which people believe that can help them, that can heal them, that can emancipate their ultimate goal. So it's quite clear that there has been a close affinity between religion and people's belief and social life, and this religion has a very dominating effect on politics. Religion unites the races, scattered and unsettled here and there. Religion unites people of different caste, creed, and people from different geographical parts of the world. And this religion ultimately plays a very dominant role in the growth and development of state, and religion still dominates the political arena of the world, and people's personal life and social life and in state affairs. it's really an integral part. So the influence of religion in state building is inevitable. No one can deny its role or influence or as a determinant of state building. After religion, we now have a look at the force theory or force, or in another word we can say power also, which plays the most important or decisive role in establishing states. You know, force is the most effective tool or weapon to protect your life and personal property. Without force or without being strong, you cannot survive. And in the case of society and state also, this is equally important or equally applicable. You know, in the earlier time or primitive time, people united, according to various social scientists, people united together for the necessity of self-defense or to save their life, their property. You know about the social contract theory and other theories also. And this force is very much vital to create or to expand the state. And the history also is, we have a lot of examples. This force created various kingdoms and empires. You know about Alexander the Great, you know about Genghis Khan and other conquerors who expanded their empire merely by using brute force. No other element, no politics. It was by force they expanded their empire. You know about the biggest colonial empire of the world that was created or established by England, and it was definitely by force. They conquered a very great portion of the geographical area of the world in Africa and Asia, Australia, Canada and America. So this force is very much prominent in creating or establishing states. You know, the First World War, the Second World War, creation of many new states. It is really one of the elements, that is force, that divides and that unites also in many cases and creates new political entity or new states. Another important factor, or you can say very important factor, that is economy. That is the life and soul of blood of state system nowadays. But in previous times, in earlier times, and primitive society, it was the role of economy was different. You know that personal property wasn't very important, or was didn't exist in the early stage of primitive society. People depended on hunting to maintain their livelihood. In course of time, day by day, people came to know about the art of animal husbandry, and hunting was the only source of their life. There was no distinction between the rich and the poor. And the person who owned more animals was considered rich. The man held less animals considered poor. But in course of time, many anthropologists believe, many social scientists believe that women contributed largely to the emergence or development of agricultural system. And with the emergence of agriculture, trade and commerce flourished because personal property became a major component of life. And increasing economic activities made people interesting to accumulate more and more property. Various classes emerged in the society and they came into conflict with each other. The slave system also was introduced after the emergence of agriculture, and then in course of time, day by day, mercantilism and other economic options or economic inventions came out from this innovative man. So the idea of property led to the emergence of various classes into the society, and in order to curb the spirit of conflict and avoiding disputes, the need of laws and regulations were felt. And in order to administer these laws and regulations, the need of the state and the government was felt. Because in order to safeguard the expanding economy, trade, commerce, and other economic activities, state and government is definitely the most suitable instrument. And I've mentioned Morgan. He supported this view. Gattel also support these views because he says that economic activities of early peoples therefore contributed to the origin of the state. Differences in occupation and wealth created social classes or castes, and the domination of one class by another for the purpose of economic exploitation was an important factor in the rise or development or creation of governmental system and the state. And as wealth or economic activities increased, the idea of property developed. And for the protection of life and property, state and government is definitely the most effective tool or instrument and necessary element of life. Another very important element, very important element to the development or creation of state, or in another sense we can say most important element, is political consciousness. There is no doubt. With the development of society, with the emergence of modern economy and trade and commerce, people became more conscious, and to realize some common purposes they felt the necessity of political organizations. And there's no doubt about it that kinship, religion, and other elements which I have discussed earlier is very much important, but the most decisive role is played by political consciousness of people. Political consciousness is a vital factor in the evolution of the state. Consciousness means an awareness among people of common purposes and to be realized through political organization. When people begin to realize that they could defend themselves against wild animals and some other common enemies, they felt the need of political organizations. So you can say that when two or more than two tribes realized that they could face common enemy only when they are united under some political banners or political institutions, and in this way, in course of time, the state came into being, or the state was created. With the increase of population, the need for the state was really filled, and the state was needed for the regulation of modern life. The rapid increase of trade, commerce, and other social entities, state and government was a must to maintain or administer or regulate the type of social cohesion or bonding or relations, because it's very much complex. So these complex social and political relations can only be maintained by state. So in conclusion, we can say that most of the political scientists argue that not any single factor like religion or force or natural kinship or social instinct or economic activities or political consciousness contributed to the development of state, but all of these elements or factors together contributed to the development and growth of state. There are some relevant questions here, please have a look, and some books and references for you also. Thank you all very much to be with me. Be safe and sound wherever you are.